share this link around before I go fully live. Hopefully get some Chumbas to join me today. Let's see here. I'll put out a tweet, see if that helps too.
Cyberpunk Uncensored.
Hey, what's up, Chumbas? Yeah, so getting just a kind of a little bit of a late start here. I was kind of rushing to get the promos out during the little intro video and countdown. That's always a little bit stressful. I wanted to get here earlier, but was dealing with some random stresses helping my wife with some work issues she was having, and I'm happy to be back into streaming and talking about Cyberpunk and GM tips and anything else. I do have a list of questions a bunch of friends and people part of the Cyberpunk community, the Cyberpunk Uncensored Discord and group have sent me. I'll go over those, but anybody tuning in live, feel free to ask questions as we go. And it can be about anything, obviously. Let me get the chat open here too. Hey, PWB, you made it. That's awesome. How you doing today? I haven't talked to you in a day or two. Yeah, I've been working with Zach on he put together the next Screamsheet thing, and then I guess we're going to work on a special one, hopefully maybe by the 8th. It might be the week after. I'm doing a session 0 this coming Wednesday for Cyberpunk Uncensored. I have a new ongoing I'm starting. Has some really cool players in it. I encourage everyone tune in this coming Wednesday. It'll be at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard. And then the following Thursday, I'm starting the Sirenscape weekly gameplay, and that's going to have a lot of great players as well. But after we get through the session 0s, I'm going to make a Screamsheet for each one of those sessions and try to do that regularly, since we do have that project going, or at least at the beginning of each main campaign or whatever. And maybe, just to drop in for some potential side arcs and stuff. And anybody tuning in, watching the live stream or the VOD, if you're curious what I'm talking about, check out cyberpunkuncensored.com, and you'll see the Screamsheet project. And in there, that's where you can get free Screamsheets. You can contribute stories and fake ads and stuff to them. It's really cool. And PWB here in chat, he helped get it started, and now he's one of the lead writers contributing stories and stuff with us. With my buddy Zach, who's also kind of head editor or whatever there. He's helping out now, kind of, put the templates together and all that good stuff too. With the rest of the team, there's a lot of people contributing. You'll see names on the site. But before I get started, I do want to give a shout out to all my supporters on Patreon. Nino Gaming, Chris Anderson, Steve Barr of Sirenscape, one of our sponsors here. Really appreciate him and those guys over there. Matt James, he's also GM Reservoir Panda. You can see him streaming every Sunday at 10 a.m. Samurai Mac, Corruption, Rothan, Simon Peter, Method, Nick Mastrofilippo, Dolan Pondsmith, who's also an artist. We should be featuring her soon on the server. I've been waiting for her to send some of the info so I can get her promoted over there. Chris Pilkington, William Huddleston, and Naomi Madlast. Those last two names, they'll be actually two of the players in my Cyberpunk Uncensored ongoing that we're starting this coming Wednesday. That's going to be a monthly, though. That's got to be a monthly because I've got the Sirenscape Weekly and then another monthly going. Just lots of gameplay coming up. Hey, what's up, George? Oh, audio is really low? Okay, yeah, let me check that. Oh, yeah, the volume was down a bit. You should be able to hear me much better now. And hopefully that's not blowing people out now. People that were tuned in maybe cranked up their volume trying to hear me, and now I'm to normal. Now they're telling me to shut the fuck up. But all right, we're pressing forward. I'm doing good. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I didn't catch that. Hopefully everybody also caught the Patreon supporters shout out. I really appreciate everybody there. PWB sweet. I thought it was just me. That's funny. You're using Q-tips. You're like, shit, something's wrong. But yeah, let's get into it. This is my my AMA, my Ask Me Anything. I don't know if I'm going to do it monthly or what. I mean, this is the third one. It's within like 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks, so it's kind of becoming a weekly thing. But I might space it out a bit more depending on time availability once I get all this other gameplay going. Because I also want to maintain the series, the different series that I'm putting out, like the deep dive series, the GM Roundtable, my Night City Live. I want to continue with interviews and stuff, and crash course tutorials. My GM Tips series, I've got some different episodes of that kind of planned ahead. So I don't know how much more I'm going to keep doing this, but let me open up the questions that I've got so far. And again, anybody has anything, you can type it in the chat. And this can be anything from, I prefer Cyberpunk, Gamemaster tips and stuff. I love chatting about that. But it can also be about my background in filmmaking, being a musician, trainer, any of that stuff, an entrepreneur. I run a bunch of businesses and sites. I've produced, directed, and acted in films and do that on like an indie level. And I've also been a touring musician in the past. I do voiceover work and sound sets. I help with Sirenscape. You can hear some of my past bands in the Cyberpunk Red sound assets in Sirenscape. A lot of that real, hardcore stuff that you hear in that, like kind of new metal shit, But yeah, let's get into the questions. The first one here is from Curtis Blesh. This is from the group. This is from the RPG group, the Red RPG group. Sorry if this has been asked before, but can anyone explain the complementary skill rule or give an example for it in combat or out of combat usage? And the first thing I thought about was something that our players were talking about doing with sniping. And it's funny because one of my past players actually commented this, which is Eric. He was playing one of the tech coupler in our ongoing. But yeah, it's an example, at least in combat, would be like, a sniper trying to get a shot off, and to give him a complementary bonus, like a +1, maybe the teammate uses their, science mathematics skill, along with having some binoculars to kind of delegate. He does that check, rolls, beats the DV, his partner or whatever, his teammate, gets the +1, and then they try to, do their sniper shot. But that's how they get the +1. Their teammate or whatever has to roll first. They have to succeed at whatever they're trying to do, their skill check. And if they do, and it makes sense to complement whatever the teammate's doing, that +1 goes to the teammate. Then they can now attempt whatever they were trying to do and get the +1 bonus. An example out of combat, and there's probably more. If anyone thinks of any, put them in the chat. But like picking a lock, maybe a teammate's about to do that, and another teammate uses their perception check, for hearing, and maybe they have an audio suite to get a bonus along with that, and they have a flashlight and they're checking it to listen for clicks and things, and then they beat the DV. Now they get the +1 to their pick lock, something like that. So there's all kinds of ways. Just have it make sense. Whatever skill, action, or combat that the player's trying to do. Another player, to get that +1 bonus or whatever, would need to do something that makes sense to help whatever they're trying to do. Like I said, use their mathematics skills and some binoculars to help the sniper, use a flashlight and, their perception or hearing or something along those lines to help to pick lock, or maybe dexterity. Maybe they're involved in trying to help. However you work it out, it's GM discretion, but just have it make sense, and that's how you get that +1. George, what are your thoughts in 2077? I really haven't dove into it. I have a whole new system coming with a badass graphics card, obviously on hold thanks to all the Bitcoin shit that's been going on. But I have been seeing all the new patches and updates. The new one that just came out recently, it seems like it's making people happier as they go, as expected, I think they released a huge badass game, but obviously it had some issues on certain consoles, certain things, whatever, like most games do, but this on a bigger level because it was so hyped, obviously. But you know, it's coming. All the patches, everything in due time, it'll be better. I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of downloadables and shit. You know, it's going to be awesome. But that's my thought. I think just like how Red is new and some people complain there's not a lot of material or source material or modules and things for it as in 2020 and it's nothing like 20. Well, give it time. You know, it's new. It just came out. And I feel like that with the video game. Give it time. They'll fix it. And as it goes, it'll get better and better. But the game, I think, awesome, you know, from what I've seen. And like I said, I haven't dove into it yet. But I'm excited also because I run virtual reality live. Myself and my wife, who was playing Raven, she's going to be playing a new character in the new stream that I'm starting Wednesday. But we both do virtual reality live, and we're getting ready to bring that back, especially with the new system. And I've seen games that programmers and people have converted into VR, like Contra, old school Contra. The guy did that with it in VR, and you could actually be in the old school game and play it. It looked awesome. It was a lot of fun. But there's chatter about people making that for 2077. Some guys are making it like it might not be as interactive, like you can't do certain things, but you can at least walk around and see shit going on. And like I'm excited to, you know, not just play it and get into it, and especially past all the new patches and things and updates. But man, if that option comes, somebody make something so I can dive in there with my fucking HTC Vive or yeah, that would be sick. Exactly, like that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and me and my wife both do that. We're really excited. We want to get into that and check it out in VR. Let's see, next question. Let's see, Michael Herard, hopefully I'm getting that right, requires he quotes this out of the Red book, requires 2 cyber eyes must be paired. Does that mean that on top of having 2 cyber eyes, obviously, he says in quotes because he understands that part, such as a piece of cyberware has to be bought twice, cost humanity twice, take up slots in the eyes twice, and reduces maximum humanity loss twice? Yes, that's exactly how it works. When you have to have something paired, you have to buy 2 of them. It only works if you have both of them in both eyes, you know what I mean? And at that, it's, you know, just like the book says, it might be hard to understand, but I can just simplify and say, yes, it's going to cost you twice to humanity, twice all that shit. You're buying 2 of them. And that's how that works. Eric, hey, what's up, man? Let's see, thoughts on Cyberpunk version 3. Was the world not ready for it? I don't know. You know, I never got into it. I mean, I know about it. I've read it. My friend had it, but he was my friend that got me into 2020 when I was a kid. And I didn't really like it. Yeah, he didn't like it as well. I didn't like some of the aspects of the lore and the way it was, to where I didn't even give any of the mechanics or anything else a chance. I just kind of stuck with 2020. And then now obviously all about Red. But yeah, just personal taste for me, you know. Did you? Were you? Oh, likewise. Okay, cool. All right, then I'm not pissing you off by answering your question like that. Let's see, next question. BK313, Brian. Oh, this is from our Cyberpunk Uncensored Discord. I recognize that username. He says, what got you into metaphysical thinking and philosophy? And where did you find that the underdog statue behind you? All right, cool. Yeah, I ever since I was like maybe 10, I want to say somewhere between 10 and 12 years old, me and my friend, the same friend that got me into Cyberpunk actually, we got into meditation and like guided hypnosis for stress relief and all kinds of shit. And we had a lot of fun with that. We would meditate and do like relaxing hypnosis to each other, and we learned about patterning, you know, vocal patterns and all kinds of interesting things. And I just kept going with that. I got into reading auras and astral projection and big time into lucid dreaming, still really into that. But just any aspect of metaphysical thinking, philosophy, sciences, I'm into it. I even, when I went to college, one of my majors was the science of parapsychology, because I really enjoyed learning about just the sciences behind all that shit and theories and such. But then like I've gone beyond that, obviously, like into like all kinds of psychic stuff I really enjoy. So but yeah, started way back in the day. Same friend I got into Cyberpunk with, and it all started with getting into meditation and hypnosis. And as far as the Underdog statue, that was actually a Christmas gift from my parents a long time ago. It's a bobblehead. It's a really big bobblehead. Yeah, I love it. I'm a big Underdog fan. I have all the original episodes. I even have a Underdog tattoo. I need to get it touched up. It's pretty old and starting to fade and stuff, but you can see it's like a Underdog, one of the original cartoon sketches of the Underdog, and it has like spawn flames coming off of it, you know. All right, cool. Let's see this. Let's get to the next question here. Okay, Michael Bialaxic. Oh man, I'm probably butchering her name, and I feel bad, but I'm trying. So Michael, it says, "What's in the box?" I like saying it like that. And it says, "Hey all, okay, this is from the group. Hey all, I'm writing a mission that involves a cargo ship. What cargo would a stalled freighter be carrying during the time of Red?" This is great. I would love everyone in chat to suggest something. I have my list here. So imagine a stalled freighter, you know, cargo ship or any type of cargo thing. What would they be carrying during the time of Red? And it stalls and like the team's getting into it, I imagine, and he's trying to figure it out. My first answer in all caps is anything. You know what I mean? Anything you think of could be there. It's the time of Red. Items and sources are, you know, things are scarce. So anything you can think of could be in there, and any type of tech. Cyberware, weapons, obviously. Food is always an interesting one. That puts kind of a time pressure because is it, you know, preserved or not? Something else interesting, raw supplies. You know, think of like, you know, materials and stuff like that, textiles maybe. Just raw supplies. And you can maybe get some corpse crossing over and getting involved that way as well, you know. People. Try human trafficking. I did go back on, I think it was season 2 of my Team Nameless ongoing, that weekly stream. We were doing the gameplay for like 8 months. And I did a whole meat market episode, and the meat was people. They were human trafficking people for different things. Fight clubs, slave labor, all kinds of shit. And yeah, that's an interesting one because that can put some morality issues on your players depending on how you play out those NPCs and the reasoning behind it, what's going on. But again, anything you think of in the time of Red. Eric says cybernetic implants, drones. I like drones. Broken tech from before the war. Exactly, old stuff. That's a great thing to mention. You know, have them busted open, and it's like really old tech. You know, and maybe it's worth a lot if they have a tech in the group that can kind of, oh shit, okay, now I've got this. Now I can fabricate this to work again, or fix it, or do something. You know, but grab old shit. You know, refer to your 2020, or even refer to real history, like really old history. You know. Put some super old tech in there. Let's get that next question. This is a rule, okay, from Alex Bailey. Let me backtrack here. PWB says dozens of corpses of trafficked humans along with one healthy dog. Yeah, I like that. Let's see, Alex Bailey says, "Hi all, this is a rules clarification." I think this is also from the group. This might be the Discord. It might be the group. But either way, Alex Bailey, I think. Perhaps I have just misread it, but rolling under your stat is only used for death saves. Or are there other situations you might just use the stat to roll under? Example, would you expect to make a cool save to realize that you have messed something up in a social situation? Or would you just do a human perception roll? Do you always roll stat plus skill plus bonus plus 1d10? If so, why do you roll skill interface plus bonus plus 1d10 when doing net running with no stat? Are there other situations where you excluded the stat? And most definitely, absolutely. First off, let me just address the whole interface thing. Keep in mind, those have their own separate DVs. They're much lower, and that's for streamlining reasons. When you hit the net, it's all about that interface number plus your 1d10 versus, you know, almost everything you're going to encounter. Any type of DV that's in there, or a combat situation against black ice or a demon, it's all going to involve just that simple interface. rank ability plus your any bonuses, obviously, but plus 1d10. It's just that simple. But like I said, DVs are lower. Just everything comparably is lower, so it all makes sense. So don't worry about that. But over to the stat thing, yeah, there's lots of situations you can roll on all your stats for different things, and it works in other roll abilities too. Like look at credibility, look at charismatic impact, look at, with lower DVs to kind of influence fan bases and stuff, and it's just pretty much using your roll ability. But stat checks all the time. You can do cool checks to see how cool it looks. Maybe it's just to literally be cool. Like sometimes I'll have a player do a cool check if they're describing a certain move, even if they did it successful, right? Like they're going to attack somebody in a cool way, or they're going to go grab something or throw something, whatever, and they describe it in such a way that makes them badass as they're entering a room or something. I don't know. I'll have them obviously do whatever action, roll, or skill check that's needed for that, and if they beat it, then I'll have them do a cool check, which is just that D10 trying to hit that cool stat, or lower to make sure that how they described it came off just as cool as they described it. But you can do that with any stat. You can do it with intelligence. I did that where the players got an address to go to a Ripper dock to go get some shit done, and I had them do an intelligence check just to see if any of them might have remembered that address was actually to the same Ripper dock they went to long ago from a night market fixer sent them to, or whatever. Because when you go to a night market and you get cyberware and you buy stuff, you automatically can go get it installed at their Ripper dock that the fixer has hooked up for that night market or whatever. So I did an intelligence check to see if they would recognize that, because they wanted to try to avoid that fixer and maybe avoid that Ripper dock, or at least be prepared for a sticky situation. But you can also do luck checks, like if players are looking for things, or trying, like maybe a scavenging, for instance, and they're going somewhere to try to find a certain item, and they're like, oh, is this in the room, or looking for it. Maybe it's not just a simple conceal reveal or a perception check. Maybe you do a luck check just to see if they're lucky enough that item is even in the room, you know what I mean? And you can do stuff like that on the side, GM behind behind the GM screen, you can do stuff like that just to kind of gauge NPCs or items and actions happening. I do a similar thing with my positive negative roll. You can kind of learn about that on the GM Tips series on the Cyberpunk Uncensored YouTube. Let's see. Let's get to the next question. James 23 says, best way to improve your GM skills? Question mark. Play, man. You got to, I think we were talking about that at a previous AMA, or sometime somebody was saying how they were nervous to play, and when do you know you're right? They're reading the book, but they're not sure. And it's like, fuck, man, just like read the book, feel good about the rules, and then just dive in, play with some friends or find people online. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. Every good GM, I don't care if you've been playing for years or days, you've read the book for months or weeks or hours, whatever, you're going to forget some rule or fumble up something or get some, oh shit, I did that wrong. And you'll figure it out, and then you'll get better as you go. But that's the idea, is it's practice. You got to do more of it. And then hone in on those skills, reread the books, watch my Crash Course tutorial series, to refresh all the rules and stuff, because it's not just practice that makes perfect, it's perfect practice that makes perfect. You have to practice it well and in the proper way to make that practice actually worth it or whatever. So yeah, that's one way, is just get into it, The other thing too is we have a bunch of free assets on the cyberpunkuncensored.com website. But aside from all those free assets, which are great to use, you and your players, look up the GM report card. I created this GM report card. There's also in the GM Tips video series, you'll see that episode, and there's a link in that description. Check that out, because that'll help you, man. At the end of every big campaign, maybe not the end of every session, but the end of every big campaign, you give out that GM report card to your players. Pick a player that they all give it to. He or she emails it to you, and that way they're anonymous or whatever. But it's real soft feedback, but it's in detail. There's a lot to it, so you can really hone in on your craft and become a better GM. But the approach is very soft. I kind of laid it out and did the questions and answers. You'll see if you go check it out, in such a way that it's even easy for the most thin of skin, I guess you could say. Let's see here. Oh, PWB, a container back on more things that you might find in a container during Cyberpunk Red. Shipping cargo container or something maybe broke down. But he says a container with 2 stolen high-end cars or trucks for the nomads in the group. Oh, that's a great idea. And yeah, maybe you want to reward your players and hook them up with something really cool, not just a side arc or a potential lead on a story or something that could lead to conflict, but there's something to where it's like, man, it's what a great reward, and it could still lead to some repercussions if they take them. Maybe there's some type of tracking device on them. Maybe there's nomads nearby watching. Maybe it's bait for something. A corp is trying to do something. I don't know. Get creative, but yeah, that sounds fun. High-end cars or trucks. Let's see, Chris Peterson. What's your favorite exercises? Okay, cool. A training question. I like that. I do a lot of physical therapy research stuff. Been into it for a long time. And my favorite exercises are probably the ones that are like preventative towards, the typical injuries, like your rotator cuff stuff. Like I'll do the side band and side lifts, with where I can't explain unless I get up and kind of show you, but I'll do the pullbacks for the rear delt stuff. I do stuff like stretch curls, like on an incline, and grab the dumbbells and put them on a stretch and curl them up. So I'll do stuff to where I'll maximize resistance in certain ways. Like I really like to focus on negatives and drop sets. But then lots of like injury prevention sort of exercises. I'm really into that stuff because I used to have a shoulder injury, lower back problems, so like lots of morning glories and just certain exercises that fix issues. And they're not always the most fun exercises. Like I hate all those, they're not cool. They're not benching and curling, to where it's just, look at me. It's like strength stuff, you know what I mean? And flexibility stuff. And I'm really into that sort of thing. Cause I want to be, as strong and flexible and as healthy as possible. I'm not just trying to, be big, bulky or whatever, you know what I mean? Say Zach, aka Capricious Nature. What's up? Hell yeah. Zach is the one leading up the Screamsheet project that him and PWB and some others, Morrison and Bob, I think a bunch of other people helping out with that, and people that have contributed. You can see everything, but he's the one that's kind of helping that keep that train moving forward here. I get it. What pulled me into Cyberpunk Red content creation, like making videos like this and stuff, and what's driving you into your future plans? Well, it's just a passion for Cyberpunk. If you can't tell, I fucking love Cyberpunk. I was into 2020, but when Red, started hyping, and then even the video game, I wasn't even as hyped with that. I was like, oh, cool, I'll check it out. Definitely, love Cyberpunk. Holy shit, wait, Red? What? Like, because I'm really into the complete imagination, open world, tabletop role-playing game aspect of Cyberpunk, more than the video game. Still love the idea of it, and I'm going to, like I said, dive into that like I was talking about earlier. But mainly it's just my passion for Cyberpunk. I fucking love it. I love the style of the world building, the lore. I'm creating my own lore and things to just drop into this crazy environment. I just love it, if you can't tell. Like I said, I'm kicking out the crash course tutorials, the interviews, the podcast, the live gameplay I've been doing for so long, multiple teams. I'm hosting other GMs, live art. I'm going over to Sirenscape to do their weekly. All the series, the deep dive, the GM roundtable, Night City Live. I mean, I think we're almost up to like 200 videos on YouTube. I'm almost up to like 100 podcast episodes on all the podcast platforms. It's on like 26 different sites or something. And it's charting pretty well. I'm always in like 100 or higher. Like I'm always like around the 40s and 50s in like multiple countries every time I check. And I think it's because of constantly putting out content. It's just a reliable source for there's always new Cyberpunk shit. You know what I mean? I like that. It's a reliable source for always new Cyberpunk shit. But yeah, I got into it because I'm just passionate about it. I love it, and I hope it shows. PWB says, what content of Red do you hope is better explained in upcoming books? I'm really looking forward to just more Chromebooks, like just more flavor, just more weapons, cybernetics, more programs and shit for net running, more gangs, maybe locations of them, a little bit of lore on that. I'm excited about Chrome Rust, which is supposed to be more about nomads and how they source and transport things. I think that's really cool. Hey Val, my beautiful wife just made it to chat. I made it 30 minutes late at work. Hello everyone, she says. Yeah, and you're at work. I know we were dealing with a lot of work shit. I even mentioned at the beginning of the stream. I was like, man, I'm excited to do this stream because today was a little bit stressful because I know my wife was dealing with work shit and I was trying to help. But yeah, Vampire, what's up? You say Sammy over in the Discord asks, I'm watching your stream, but it won't let me chat with the app. Do you feel like Red takes away some of the characteristics or looks for what a character can look at? For instance, I wanted to make a techie wear overalls, but there wasn't really an option for that, but my friend suggested wearing nomad bottoms and answer calling them that. Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. These are guidelines and they're all kind of just categorized kind of, or, it's to put things in price brackets and general like style brackets, or and it's not just clothing, I'm trying to think of the word here, but they do it with everything. You see how the economy works, and it's like, cheap and everyday and expensive and premium. They do it like that, so across the board, you see where it fits and works into other aspects of the mechanics, obviously, but also so you can create your own. You can kind of think of the equivalent to fit within the bracket of price, and then you kind of know how it fits in with the other aspects of the mechanics of the book. And obviously in Life Path, I tell my own players in the upcoming one, me and my wife were just talking about this yesterday, me and Val, Mulligan right there in chat, we were talking about how in the Life Path, there's not enough options when it talks about personality, or it talks about the clothing, the hairstyles is a great example, and sometimes you don't want to just roll it. Sometimes you want to pick those particulars, I'm all for like rolling family and all those things, but I personally, I kind of think that you should, want to pick how you look and stuff if that's what you prefer, because I don't want to make someone not happy. But I do think that there is some fun to being out of your comfort zone as well and rolling some of those things and being like, all right, I guess I'm going to have a mohawk, or all right, I guess I'm going to do this, or, I guess I'm wearing that. Like, let's give it a shot and see how I can play this out. There's some fun to that too. I think in the long-term game, like if you want like a character you can invest in and really play long-term, you're going to want to pick personality because you know how you're going to role play it. And that's going to come into the personality it has, your character has, But I think, things like that, if the book doesn't have it there, do you feel like Red takes away some of the characteristics or looks of what a character can look at? I don't think it takes away, because it's not like you had even more of those particular options or whatever in 2020 or whatever, or like drastically more. But like I said, Red is new. There's going to be more coming. I do feel like we could use a little more spice and flavor to enhance our gameplay, and it's coming. It'll be coming from RTG. I'm sure we're going to get all these supplements and things over time, but make it your own. You want overalls? Call them overalls. Just make them price equivalent, make them the equivalent of those nomad bottoms or whatever, but they're overalls. So any style, you can do it. Hey, what's up, Rook? Made it to chat. Rook's, I believe this is Rook, who I gave a shout out earlier as a Patreon supporter and an upcoming player. Going to be playing this coming Wednesday as our session 0. Yep, that's me. I was hoping I had it right. Rook made sense because it's your name in the Discord too. So, LOL. Imagine picking an exec and rolling for bag lady fashion. Exactly. Doesn't always work, Okay, let's see. Make sure I don't miss any other question. Okay. Oh yeah, and he said, "What's driving you into your future plans, Zach?" My passion for Cyberpunk, man. I fucking love Cyberpunk, and that's what's pushing me to my future plans, aside from the fact that I get support. I do it because I love it, and I've said that since day one, and I will always do that. But the fact that I went to like creating content almost daily and hosting other GMs and making more gameplay and gonna go work with Sirenscape and exponentially doing more is because I started getting support back. People started liking and sharing the videos. I actually got supporters on Patreon. You know, I have people that actually donate money once in a while. They'll pay for a subscription on Twitch. That's the shit that like keeps me going. That's what's driving my future plans into more and more content, gameplay, opportunity. I'm expanding the brand too. You know, you see me promoting other GMs, artists, all kinds of stuff, other series that other people are hosting that I'm not even doing. I'm just producing and promoting. The reason I'm trying to make this brand big and wide, that way it can become maybe something bigger. I have some friends and partners because of my involvement in the film industry, and I'm working on a couple things. I don't want to get too much into it, but I am working on a couple things. And this brand, you know, might be a little bit bigger than expected here later this year, possibly. Let's see. Got a couple other questions here, but they're a little off subject. They're fun. I'll get into them. But let's just check the chat. PWB, I'm getting the feeling the Red Core rulebook is intended to be only the skeleton, and the books to come will flesh out the game with the details everyone is screaming for. Exactly. And it's funny to even call it a skeleton. It's a 400 and whatever page book. I mean, it's a fucking beast. It's no skeleton like in the literal sense, or I guess in the size sense or amount of content. But my God, it is so much content and so much stuff that they're putting in there. But yeah, there's going to be more to expand it, because like, look at, you know, if you look at, here's my 2020 book, first printing of the second edition or whatever. But I've got the first one in the other room. This is second edition. But this, you know, look at this with just the Night City supplement compared to what Red has. You know, let's give it time. You know, 2020 came out. It was thick with the crunch. Had some great lore. But it was all those Chromebooks and the Night City supplement and all the other things, all the modules, just everything that made it, I mean, huge. You know, it made the Cyberpunk huge. It made 2020 huge. Red is just getting going. That book, I do get what you're saying. I do, and I agree. I think that's probably the skeleton of what's to come. But there's going to be more. It's going to get better. And until then, you know, check out all the live play that we're doing and things we're creating. Go to cyberpunkuncensored.com and check out all the awesome free assets and things you can use. And contribute to the Screamsheets, stories and modules and such, so other GMs and people can use them. And then as RTG starts putting out stuff, make sure you go and buy it and support it and promote it. That way they make us more good shit, you know what I mean? Let's see, Eric says, ever run an off-the-wall campaign where the team is like a trauma team group or a group behind enemy lines during the Fourth Corporate War? Anything you really liked? Oh, yeah. Wasn't it me and you talking about that in chat? I like that idea. Somebody else, I think, was talking about that. And it reminds me of GM Zeppi that we're hosting. He has a game that he's kind of putting in the year 2078 because he wanted to grab the Red rules and the streamline aspect and play off those mechanics, but pull shit from the video game and the world from that after the video game time, 2077, actually. So that's why his is Red/2078. If you see him on the Cyberpunk Uncensored YouTube, we put all his VODs up there, and check that out. He does, you know, something similar, but in the other direction, you know. But I like that idea. Yeah, do something off the wall. Put it in a time frame. Give them a particular job. Put them in a situation that is, you know, I guess world building. Like, it's not necessarily campaign because you're placing them in that world at that moment, you know. I do something similar. You're going to see in my upcoming campaigns and teams that I'm doing. The one this Wednesday, don't forget, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard. That's the Cyberpunk Uncensored official new Team 1. It's going to be running every month. We might bump that up a little more once in a while, but it's for right now, it's once a month. And then I've got a weekly I'm starting over on the Sirenscape Twitch. That's going to be every Thursday. And yeah, both of those teams I'm doing something unique. You have to tune into the session zeros to kind of hear what I have planned. But it's not just like, you know, here's a team, you all kind of know each other, let's get some gigs or jobs, you guys are all mercenaries. I'm trying to do something a little more particular, a little specific, a little, on my part, contrived story-wise. And that way I can kind of lead plots and campaigns from that central point, at least initially. Obviously, it's an open world. Anything can happen. I love playing it real like that, you know, as anyone who watches my gameplay has seen. But where I'm starting it is very similar. It's interesting like that. So tune in and check that shit out. Interface Vampire says Interface Magazine needs to make a comeback. Hell yeah, man. And Chris Hockabout, actually, who you should know from, starting up Interface Magazine and shit. He's the artist that did all the 2020 art. He did the Bozos image. He did the Four Horsemen in the open part here. Oh shit, the pages are kind of like coming out. This is so old, but he did this, what he calls the Four Horsemen, the roles there. But yeah, I've done interviews with him on the podcast. You can see him on the VOD on the YouTube. He's getting ready to do live art, just like our other artist, Drake Mir, who's actually streaming tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard right here. So if you want to see some live art, check that out. But Chris Hockabout from Interface Magazine and the original artwork of 2020 is going to be starting up some live art right here soon. I'm waiting for him to hit me with the date. But Vampire, look out for that. Give him some love. Go to his live stream when he's here and let him know that you liked what he did with Interface Magazine and shit. And yeah, Eric backs that up. Says, hell yeah, Interface Red Mag. Yep, that'd be awesome. Bring it to Red. Next question here. What's your favorite comic books? This is... Yeah, it's kind of random. And James Hendelson. I think this is a Facebook. I think that was from the group. That might have been one of the messages, but I want to say these two previous I'm going to get to are from the message. But either way, hey, what's your favorite comic books? Obviously, I have a lot, thousands. The whole bottom level, actually, that you can't really see on camera are magazine size crates, because I have like every Mad magazine that was ever printed, including like back when they were comic book size. I have a bunch of those too. I'm just lacking like number 1 through 5, I think. But from there up, I have them like all of them in order, with the exception I don't have the new series. I know they came out with the whole new series in the past year or whatever. I didn't get into that, and I wish I did. But yeah, I have all that's passion. I love Mad. But out of all the comics, I have like every Walking Dead, every Spawn, even all the side Spawn ones. I have every Goon. I have, and then obviously everything Marvel, and I mean, my God, just so much shit. And then I've got like random shit, like, let's see, like Mondo, and I got a bunch of Ted McKeevers, but I'll get that in properly later. Now I've messed it up. But and then I've got my own. I've got the Mulligan comic. I had a distribution deal for my Mulligan comic. I think you can still find that on Amazon through the original publisher. But we had a diamond deal. But it didn't really blow up that great because of the fact that we didn't have a lot of money for marketing, and you can't get shelf space in comic book shops properly to make an impact competing with DC and Marvel and shit, or even Image and other mediums, because I was on Grindhouse Comics. And then I did some self-publishing. I did Bacon versus Clowns, and this we're actually getting ready to turn into a film. And it's like, it's full color. It's got a lot of crazy shit. It's like all these bacon people basically fighting. The clowns invade them, and then the clowns are just fucking them up. And then aside from like the dialogue and what it is, like there's this ongoing narrative that I wrote. So like there's this rhyming narrative that almost gives it like a Nightmare Before Christmas meets Dr. Seuss vibe going on, mixed with the dialogue. So it's kind of adult humor. It's kind of fucked up, but we'll be making a film out of that here soon. Just a real low budget thing. If you've seen my first film, Stank Mouth, it's going to be similar to that quality, like good grit, blood and gore, and just really outrageous. But definitely a B movie. We don't have tens of thousands of dollars into this one. So it's going to be kind of fun. Just a passion project. But I see Vampire. Gotta get going. I need some creds before the ATM location close. I'll check you next time, Rob, and catch up on the VOD later. I appreciate that, Vampire. Yeah, man. You know, every time that I do these live streams, anything we kick out live, we put the VOD on the Cyberpunk Uncensored YouTube, usually within just a few days or a handful of days. Rook says passion project films are great though, and a lot of fun to work on. Exactly. Yeah. I was just helping my buddy James do a couple. He's got some great distribution hookups too. So a lot of his passion projects that maybe you've seen me working on that I promote online, like that Alien Danger one, where I got Tommy Chong into it. His Hollywood Werewolf, where I got Andy Dick into it. Those come across very much like that, but he's got some great distribution on it that makes it pretty cool, makes it worth it. In fact, I've got two options. Do you want to hear just a random film story or a random music story? Because I was a touring musician, I'm also a filmmaker, so I have an interesting story that comes from filmmaking, and then I have an interesting story that comes from touring. Something about Andy Dick, just to give you an idea how crazy, and then something about the punk rock band Rancid. Got a story on that. And any other questions? Anybody has a question about, GM tips, Cyberpunk Red, any of that, feel free, drop it in the chat. I'll answer it. Definitely the film story, says Rook. Anybody else want to vote on that? All right, I'll just get into that. But yeah, so Andy Dick is he's clean now. He's doing well. If you see, okay, cool. Other people are saying film story. Hey, Anino, what's up, man? So yeah, Andy Dick is clean now. If you check him out, a lot of his live stuff, the thing I posted recently too, he's doing well. He's coherent. When I talk to him on the phone, he's more there. In fact, when I talked to him after the new year, which is when he kind of started cleaning up, I got him on the phone and I was kind of yelling at him, and I usually bulldoze him when I get with him, in a sense, because otherwise he won't listen. He'll just talk over. He'll get sporadic. He'll start talking to people in the room, then he'll be back. I'm like, he's just as crazy as you would think. So normally I have to be like, listen, blah blah blah, we're doing this. No, listen, and I'll bulldoze him. I'll get all the information to him. I'll book whatever. We'll have to plans, whatever. We'll make it happen, But I usually have to be real forceful with that shit. Hey, what's up, Smoking? Evening chat, evening Rob. Hope everyone is okay. Thanks for joining, man. Smoking Kills in the chat. But yeah, so when I first hit him up after New Year's, he's like, Rob, you're yelling at me. I can't even get a word in. This isn't how conversations work. And I was like, yeah, man, this is how it works with you sometimes. Like, I pretty much just told him, and he's like, well, fuck, I'm sober now, and I'm trying to listen. I'm paying it. Like, and he straight up told me, and I got it, and it's cool now. But my point there is, now he's sober. It's all good. But back when he wasn't sober, there was a time I brought him onto a set, and I don't want to say which film or whatever, but he was there. Some of you might have caught the live stream, because I usually stream when I go filmmaking. It's usually on my personal Facebook or Instagram. But which on Instagram it's GM Rob Mulligan. On Facebook it's like R Mulligan number 3, I think. But whatever, just look me up. But I live streamed that shit. You might have seen it, but I don't want to mention it now. But we're in the middle of filming. I'm producing this thing. I'm the one who got Andy into it. I'm also first AD and shit. Trying to keep the schedule going, and Andy is being crazy. He's going to the other room and doing drugs, and he's drinking, and then we had to stop because he needed to order food. Then he had no appetite because he's doing fucking coke and shit. It's crazy. This is back, when he's crazy, and which happens often. But he and I'm not into any of that. Like I fucking drink water, and like I exercise daily, and like I don't know. I mean, I don't care what people do. I have a past and shit, and everybody can do whatever they want. I believe in total free will, and I'm anti-prohibition. You know what I mean? But man, I'm there to work, and I'm there to hustle, and he's just fucking up the set. He's turning in what normally would be like a 1 to 2 hour shoot into literally a 12-hour set day. I'm not even kidding either. Like 1 to 2 hours turned into like, I think when we left it was like 9 hours. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, and like my buddy who was directing and stuff, was like, he ended, it's his project. I'm producing, not financially. I was making things happen for him, but he had to buy food and put money into it because of it taking 9 hours and doing what we were doing and trying to make Andy happy. And at one point we're filming, and I guess he loses his Coke, and he's like, oh shit, somebody stole my Coke. No more filming. Everyone get the fuck out of my place. And we're like, wait, what? Nobody stole your shit, dude. What are you talking about? And he was like pissed. And like I had to talk to him. His buddy that was there that we also got in the film talked to him. And then we convinced them, nobody stole your shit. You had to have lost it. So now everyone in crew, cast, everyone is searching. We're filming at his place, by the way. So now everyone's searching his loft, which is downtown LA, searching his whole place looking for this shit. Eventually I'm like, wait a minute. did anybody check the leather jacket he was wearing in the last scene? And he checks that shit and pulls it out, and he's like, oh! And there's his bag of coke, and he looks, everyone looks at him. This is after holding up production for like an hour searching this place. And he holds it up, and he's like, who wants to make a film? And he's like all happy and laughing and just back into Happy Andy. And I'm just like, oh my God, dude, like, dude is crazy. But he is a comedian genius. Like, there's Val saying Andy Dick. Val has a bunch of great stories on Andy Dick. If we should get her on a live AMA one time to talk about not only her trip to Amsterdam and getting on stage during one of the sex shows and dancing and getting kind of crazy. I don't want to give away too much, but she's got lots of crazy Andy Dick stories too. Andy really liked Val. Every time we would run into him, he'd be all over her, and he'd be on me too back in the day. But smoking, right? Be right back. Need to Google this man. Yeah, if you don't know who Andy Dick is, man, Google him, man. He's a comic genius. I had him in my puppet show. I have a Cannabis themed puppet show with Tommy Chong and Andy Dick. Yeah, he's a legend, Rook says. Yeah, exactly. And when I had him out for the puppet show, I had to yell at him at one point because he was like talking to other cast and people, and I had the studio for only a certain amount of time. I was paying for it. We had the puppets, everything I was doing. And I was running one of the puppets and doing what I was doing, but then I like yell at him like, Andy, fucking focus. And he's like, whoa, you're yelling at me. And I was like, yeah, to get you to focus, man. I'm the director, and I'm trying to get you to do this. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he just like snapped into it, and he was kicking ass. But like, he's hard to work with. But then when he gets into it, he'll like be laser focused on the comedy, the scene, the lines. He'll pull it off, and then he'll improv stuff that's just amazing. He is so fucking funny, and he is just a genius when it comes to comedy and improv. Oh my God, improv comedy. He is just one of the funniest people I've ever met. And I'm so glad he's sober now, because when he's sober, he's just as fucking funny, but even more manageable because he's not outrageous. And you know what I mean? Like, it gets uncomfortable sometimes when he's old school Andy Dick, man. Like, it's hard to be around him. He's like grabbing dicks and doing crazy shit, and I'm not even lying. Like, he's punching people. He punched the effects guy in the side of the head, and like, he does crazy shit. I could go on for hours about that, but let's bring it back. I see Revolver Gray, another Cyberpunk question. Hell yeah, let's bring it back to Cyberpunk Jam. I just wanted to always drop like a crazy story in every AMA, and somebody was asking me about film and music stuff, so I figured I'd let people pick. Next time, I'll tell you that crazy music Rancid story when I was on the Warped Tour and what I saw those fucking guys do. But yeah, Cyberpunk Jam question: what extraordinary or surprising thing has a player done that you rewarded extra IP for? If that hasn't happened yet, what kind of thing would? I've gone to the max IP on Red with, I think, both of my teams at one point. I think Team Nameless got it after a session. I think my monthly ongoing that I do with Steve from Sirenscape and Terabella Pondsmith and Roten and GM Jack is on that team too. We'll be bringing that back here soon. But yeah, I gave them both max. I can't remember which session it was, but I remember like all of them did some amazing shit. Like, they all kind of did something towards their role and role playing at one point. Like, you know, I love it when players don't just do something, unique or whatever, like to their player, but they role play it well too. Like, they'll say something witty, something really clever. They'll pull something from the lore or some like underlining plot thing that I have placed that I'm not sure if they're picking up on, and they'll like totally like drop a bomb towards me, like, oh shit, they're seeing this, they're getting this, or I don't know. I love shit like that. And then, like I said, role playing it out is so important. Like, it makes it so much fun. Yeah, I know him. Obviously, don't know him. Yeah, you're talking about Andy Dick. Yeah, Yeah, we met Tom Green too. Me and Val met Tom Green. Tom Green yelled at me on stage. I don't know if Val's still in the chat. You remember how embarrassing that shit was? And then afterwards, I confronted him. I was like, "Look, I wasn't fucking filming you, dude." He's like, "No, that was just joking. I was just doing that part of the show." Val, you remember that? He was like all apologetic and like super nice after that. Yes, yeah, Val remembers. Oh, that was so embarrassing. He was like yelling at me from the stage, thinking I was filming him. Anyways, I'll tell that story a different time. Let's see. But yeah, Tom Green's awesome. He's funny as fuck. And he's friends with Andy Dick too. Smoking Kill says, was going to ask first time I saw you, I genuinely thought you were part of Mudvayne. Turns out I was wrong. That's funny. I opened up for Mudvayne though. We were just talking about. I posted this thing about name your best memories of me or whatever, right? To Facebook, and somebody. Oh yeah, Val says smoked with him. Yeah, and we smoked with Brody Stevens before he died too. That's who was opening up that night. Remember, Val? We chilled with Brody Stevens all night. That's his name, right? The guy who fucking hung himself, man. Rest in peace, Brody. Super funny. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to talk about it. Shit's making me teary-eyed. But yeah, I was doing Earth Day. Somebody was like, "Oh, I remember seeing you Earth Day birthday or something like that." And we went on after Skin Dredd and before Mudvayne, and that was my first time seeing Mudvayne. I gotta stop thinking about Brody. And he was badass. The singer, he was like punching himself in the head before going on stage and putting fake blood on him and shit. And this was like some festival. It was awesome. And that was my experience with Mudvayne. I really like those guys and that singer's passion towards music. But yeah, another, don't apologize. I'm an emotional guy. I cry over fucking commercials and shit, dude. Yeah, any other GM questions? I think I hit everything in the, double check. Yeah, favorite comic books, class, stat roll checks. Yep, covered that. Cargo ships. Oh yeah, anybody else new to the chat? Somebody was asking earlier what you might find in a cargo ship or a shipping container found in Red, abandoned or somewhere. We went over a bunch of ideas there, but anybody new to the chat that wasn't there for the earlier part of that conversation, you think of anything interesting? Put it there in the chat. I'll shout it out that way when he checks out the VOD, because I don't think he's here for the live. He can get all these answers. And anybody watching the VOD, feel free to comment on YouTube. I regularly check the comments like every day. I reply to people, and I love the interaction, live and in VOD. Let's see. Sorry, though, thought was just me. So top 3 classes in 2020 or Red, your picks. Well, top 3 is hard for me because I just have an ultimate, like I really fucking love the Fixer. I always have. I liked Fixer back in 2020. I like Fixer now. When I started, obviously, as a kid in 2020, I was a solo. Like most, like you're just like, I want to be the badass. But then as I got into it, I was like, I really liked the role-playing aspect and networking aspect of the Fixer. Just being able to like source items, like in Red, like being able to get items, eventually setting up your own night market, just the connections, being like, oh, do I know someone in this part of town? And like, Jim, yeah, you would know somebody on this level. Okay, cool. And like, then you role-play it out. And like, there's a lot of role-play potential with the Fixer. But in Red, I will say the power behind the media, and then the minion aspect that I love about the exec have me excited about those 2 roles as well. But Fixer is still my ultimate favorite. Let's see here. 2 Cyber paired. Yeah, we answered that about pairing things, and yes, you have to buy both. Curtis had the question about the complementary skill. Yep, we covered everything. I covered everything that was sent in. So that's great. I'm going to just double check chat and make sure, anybody else has any other questions or things you want to go over. I've got more time. Let's chat some more. But if not, no biggie. We'll end it. Oh, I see PWB. Do you prefer to play or GM, and why? I like both equally. But I do lean more towards GM, not just out of like necessity. Like a lot of people, they GM because like no one in their group wants to. You know what I mean? For me, I enjoy that just as much as I like playing. And if anything, I lean more towards that just because the more I can create. I have a really fun time setting up campaigns and plots and making them have multiple layers and potential side arcs. And I just love depth, and I love twists and cliffhangers. If you can't tell by my like monthly ongoing, my weekly, the more recent streams and stuff, I love that side of it. But I do enjoy playing, and I've been talking to other streaming GMs too about, hey, let me come and play. Like I've done before, I went and played with Wandering DM, but I'd love to play with other streamers sometime. as well as just make a little cameo as an NPC. I think that would be fun too. I told some GMs out there before, hit me up if you stream or you do something and you need a little video made, like in character as an NPC. Tell me what's up. I could totally lay that out, kind of be the one driving the mission for your players, and just add another element. Could even join live and give a little interaction, and you know, have the character, the NPC, be dynamic, something that the GM won't have to control. So I enjoy both sides, playing and GMing. But like I said, I lean a little more towards GMing. Yeah, and Smoke and Kills, as far as the roles, when I was talking about my favorites, you said you love the minions on the exec. Media, I feel, can be amazing if the GM takes time to plan just for the media. Well, not even that, but I think if the media plays the role right anyways, you know, like a GM, any session, you know, any campaign, there's going to be some type of plot, some type of thing going on. Everyone's going to be in, you know, some way or another, hopefully, invested in wanting to figure it out, solve it, stop that, do whatever, you know, whatever the mission is or whatever it is, right? But if a media is playing it right, they're going to hone in on like potential evidence or things to break us the story of that or whatever it might be. And then if they have the right evidence and they break it big enough and like they get to the right rank and they get that right percentage and they roll well enough that it's the believability, you know, their credibility of that story or whatever, it can be powerful. You can really like take down a corporation. You can really blacklist another exec or team, or fuck up a gang with another gang. You can, you know, and if you play it a little crooked, you might even be able to fuck some people up with some false news, you know, some fake news. You know how powerful that shit is. Look at our real life, you know. Think about how it could be in Cyberpunk, the level of that shit. But yeah, media has all that potential. I think it was James Hutt from Our Talsorian Games. I think it was him. It might have been Jay Gray. One of them. I think it was James, though. We were doing a live stream, one of my many that I've done with them. I don't want to say it was the GM Roundtable. It was like a GM Tips episode or something. Oh, it might have been the Media Breakdown. He might have joined me for that. And he talks about it. He's like, man, that role is powerful. It's like, you know, the rest of them can, like, you know, win the battle, but the media can fucking win the war. You know, like, you're going to have these sessions where you got to get shit done and get what you want, but it's that end result, that end evidence that then the media can take and blow up and combine with this session's evidence and really think about the long term and the bigger plan, the bigger picture. They can really hone in on the long game, you know? And it can be very powerful. And it was James himself said it can be very game breaking if a person plays a media well. So just think of that. Let's see, any ideas for original character concepts, playing something other than edgelord? Yeah, well, I think, you know, taking any role and putting a twist on it, like making it really young, really old, really strong, really weak, you know. I was talking to Brandon from Realmsmith, who's going to be one of the players. I'll give that one away. One of the players in the Sirenscape Weekly Ongoing that I'm starting up next week. That'll be on Thursdays. He was talking about how he made a character that was blind. I think that's awesome, you know, and I don't want to give it away, but I've been working with Valerie, my beautiful wife, who's going to be playing a character in the upcoming ongoing for Cyberpunk Uncensored. You'll see it this Wednesday is our session 0. Tune in just 2 days, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard. We're working on a little issue with her character to make it unique, but I'm a big fan of that, you know. Take some type of characteristic or thing and make it extreme. Give them something. You know, even give them a disability or something that you can play off of. And with Cyberpunk, you can really get into that. And I don't want to give too much away, but you get my point. I am a fan of that, and I think it makes characters interesting. It gives them depth. I have a question. You did one crossover with John and nothing since. Is there a reason behind that? Yeah, he never, I invited him and did things, but, you know, he never reciprocated. And you know, I don't like that. I basically promote other GMs and all these shows and things, and, you know, I'll have people on, but if we don't start playing and things, you know, I don't want to force it. You know, I'm not going to force anybody to be my friend. You know what I mean? So I'd rather just focus on promoting Cyberpunk. I love coming up with all these new series and meeting all kinds of people. If I stick with the few people I meet along the way, I'm never going to meet new people. So I love to kind of vary it up and cycle in new GMs. Look at the GM Roundtable. Look at some of the gameplay stuff that we do with appearances and things, and look at all the interviews. I love changing it up. Except RTG, I love having James and Jay Gray back a lot. I really like that. Obviously, they always can give like good insight. Sometimes they'll give a little sneak peek. I think it was our recent GM roundtable. Jay Gray showed the GM screen, and it was kind of cool to see it because I did the pre-order on that thing, but I haven't seen like all of it. You know what I mean? Like I saw some low res shit, but he showed it on camera. It's pretty cool. You can go see that on the Cyberpunk Uncensored YouTube. It's VOD, just the recent GM roundtable. Let's see, more questions. Yes, medias are awesome. Exactly. Yeah, Rook, because Rook's gonna be playing a media. There, I'm giving away even more info about this Wednesday. Let's see, Furious George. I don't totally know the role of a GM, so do you write a story and create characters for the players to interact with? Some GMs do. Some GMs will make, pre-gens, they call them, pre-generated characters, right? If they have a particular one-shot in mind or something they're going to do. Long-term, basically, players, you want them to pick their role, create their own character using the system. And then a GM is basically the game master. You're going to create the world that the player's playing. You're going to make up the campaign, the plot, the hooks, the NPCs that they interact with. You're going to basically build the world. And then as a GM, it's your job to describe that world and basically present problems to the players that they have to deal with along the way, Smoking says, I'm working on a fixer whose parents were a solo and a techie and doesn't want the edge runner life, but to survive he has to do it. Told Rob and his goals for heaven, a self-sustained apartment block with everything a group needs to survive. Yeah. No, I like that idea. Like I said, I think the dynamics between taking a role and then giving them, maybe not so typical motivations is really interesting. It gives them, like I said, some depth. Blind Aikido master would be cool, Eric says. Yeah, that would be very cool, give them like real good skills, and all that. And then their perception's real good, but it has to do with hearing, and feeling and things like that. Can't wait for the pre-order. Yeah, exactly. That screen being available in the UK. Yeah, I got the pre-order of the GM screen from, I think it's Dragon Trove. It's also where I got my Red core book when, I had the advanced copy of Red from Artal Saurian so we could gameplay and test it out before it was released, and I really appreciate that from Artal Saurian. That's really what kind of got us really streaming hard, because up until that we were doing the combo 2020 meets Jumpstart and stuff, and streaming that. But anyways, yeah, I think I pre-ordered the Red when the physical book came out from Dragon Trove, and it was only like, I want to say like $40, like with shipping, like it was like free shipping and discounted. I pre-ordered and I got my book like fucking within days that shit was released publicly. It was awesome, and other people were like waiting and everything. I don't know. I know UK, Australia. I have friends in both those places. They had to wait a bit longer. It was a little bit different, as you can expect. So maybe it's like that for you. I don't know. But check out Dragon Trove. They might allow a pre-order, and they might be good with UK or whatever. Yeah, problem is shipping from US to UK is usually double. Yeah, that's very true. Up to quadruple what the item itself costs. Need to wait. Yeah, I feel you on that. Do you have a favorite of the Screamsheets from the core rule book or Jumpstart? No, not really. I never really used them. I like reading stuff like that to get general ideas, but I never really used them. So I don't really have a favorite. As far as Screamsheets, my favorites are the ones that my team is making on the cyberpunkuncensored.com site. If you haven't seen those, go check them out. They're amazing. PWB just watched Judge Dredd. Oh, that's funny. I just watched that shit yesterday. On I want to say Hulu or Netflix. I watched both of them actually. I watched both of them on Hulu. Just the day before yesterday and yesterday. That is so funny you bring that up. Just watch Judge Dredd last night. It has me in the mood to start writing again. What movies put you in the cyberpunk mindset? All those. I'm also like a fan of Ghost in the Shell. and all the different anime versions of Ghost in the Shell. Obviously Blade Runner and shit like that. I'm still a fan of like cheesy ass Total Recall. I love that, you know? Yeah, all that shit. Oh, and Nina, what's up? Who are some of the PCs from the other campaigns that you'd want to bring into yours apart from the legendary Jimenez? Exactly. Well, you know I want Jimenez back. I love the way that you play him and come up with creative ways of attacking people and fucking shit up. It's fun. But yeah, as far as the teams, like I've told all my players like who wants to come back, you know, like I would, as long as they didn't die, obviously. But I love taking old characters and somehow working them as an NPC or something, especially like if you have the same players. Like in that old 2020 Red Jumpstart I was doing like 9-10 months ago, whatever. You can see on the YouTube, just dig back in the videos. Once we got the advanced copy of Red and we dove into that, I let my players all make new characters, but I did like a weird crossover thing because now they jumped up to the time of Red. So I had their old player characters come into the office where they were going to start working. They were actually working for a company, and their old characters came in like, oh, you're going on tour. This is the old rocker that's going to kind of show you the wings, and it was his character from the previous, and he actually got teary-eyed on stream. I did too. It was an emotional moment. I fucking loved it. But I love bringing back old characters in one way or another. I think that's always fun. But like I said, I have an open door with past players, whatever character, especially if they want to bring an old one back. Like, fuck, I'll work you in, even if it's just for a session for fun, because I just have great respect for players that gave me their time, you know, because I put a lot of fucking energy into being a GM and Cyberpunk, obviously. So if a player gets down with me and they're committed and they're fucking doing it consistently, or they give me that same passion back, I'm like, man, I respect that forever. So like, you know, anytime any of my players, past, present, whatever, you know, wants to come back, make an appearance, hell yeah, let's fucking do it. But especially at Nino Gaming, I want Jimenez to come show up, maybe for you know, one of my monthly ones at Cyberpunk Uncensored, or, you know, making an appearance on my weekly Sirenscape that I'm going to be doing. That would be fun. That has a lot of really interesting players in it. I don't want to announce too much, but you might have heard something about that. I don't know, but yeah, we'll definitely, you know, I want you to come back and play. Just rewatched Blade Runner again last night. Rook says, hell yeah. Oh, PWB, I watched it yesterday on Amazon. All right. Yeah, I couldn't remember. Maybe I don't know, but I want to think. For me, it was either Netflix or Hulu. I have Amazon Prime, but I haven't been there since I finished the Boys series. And some of those other series that are on there I finished. I'm just waiting for like more new shit. Mad Max. Hell yeah, George. I love that film. Mad Max. All the different, you know, Thunderdome, Mad Max, Road Warrior, all that shit. Smoking Kills, gotta go, get back to work now, catch one of these streams finally. Hell yeah, I'm glad you made it. Hope everyone has a good rest of the evening, night. Oh yeah, thanks. And we'll see you next time. And the VOD will be on the YouTube. But yeah, you know, I'll see you online. Furious George, have a good one. Val, be right back. Yeah, it looks like Val's busy at work too. Capricious Nature, hell yeah. You made it in. I'm glad the stream was going. Yeah. Didn't miss it. Just got to work. Was worried I'd missed the whole stream. Yeah, well, you missed the majority. I did cover your questions, though. I already closed it, so I can't reference it. But yeah, I answered your questions earlier. I had them in my list. But yeah, I went down the whole list of questions from the community. We had a bunch of great questions in the chat. So I would recommend check out the VOD when I get that posted on YouTube. Lots of good stuff. But as always on my AMAs, I'll put timestamps. There's always a shitload of timestamps, and you can check out all the different things that we talk about. So I'll do that same thing with this one. But that being said, I think we covered all questions, like I said, from the community and from chat. So we're good to go. I really appreciate all y'all tuning in. It's absolutely encouraging for me to keep going. Like I said, that's what motivates me. I think that was one of your questions, Zach. You're like, you know, what keeps you motivated in future content and stuff. And like I said before, I do Cyberpunk shit because I'm passionate about it. I obviously love it, but it's the support from the community that makes me do more and more and more. Like when people support me on Patreon, or they fucking subscribe, or, you know, donate money and little things like that, it blows my mind. I'm like, fuck, man, like they really dig the shit I'm doing, and it makes me want to do more. So that's my big motivation. But aside from that, it's obviously like my foundation is, you know, my passion for Cyberpunk. But that being said, I do want to give another shout out to all the supporters. Anino Gaming, Chris Anderson, Steve Barr of Sirenscape, Matt James, GM Reservoir Panda, streaming every Sunday. Don't forget to check his shit out. It's awesome. Every morning, 10 a.m. Samurai Mac, Corruption, Roten, hoping I'm saying that right. I tried to get that right in the Fixer deep dive, and I'm trying to remember. I need to go back and double check. Simon Peter, Method, Nick Mastro, Filippo, Dolan Pondsmith, Chris Pilkington, William Huddleston, and Naomi Madlass, which are here. That's Rook, and they're the ones that are going to be joining with the weekly with my wife and some other players coming up session 0 this Wednesday, 4 p.m. So make sure you check that out. Eric says, good shit, man. PWB, thanks much, Rob. Hey, thanks to all of you tuning in. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.